Hello and welcome to Jeopardy Live panel presented by thejeopardyfan.com. This is October 11th, Season 2, Episode 4. Once again, I am Andy Saunders and I will be moderating tonight's discussion. Unfortunately, I don't get to introduce Jeannie tonight. She's missing one for the first time this season, but she'll be back soon. I just want to say hi to her, and of course, thanks for everything she does with the website. Now to introduce tonight's panel. First up, returning to our panel once again, J Archivist, J Board Moderator, David Kendall. How are things going with you, David?
Hi, happy Thanksgiving.
That's correct. It is Thanksgiving up here in Canada, so we are in the middle of a holiday. And we probably also would have had Samir on the panel this week had he not been A, having a family dinner, B, watching the Blue Jays playoff game, which I am currently missing in order to take the panel. In terms of the other panelists tonight, we have two people joining us for the first time. First up, from this past Monday's episode, Amanda Brock. Thanks for joining us, Amanda. Hopefully you have some insight for us. And finally, also a J-Board moderator, train fan, Jim Elwanger. Thanks for joining us. I know that there's going to be quite a discussion we're going to have later. I think Jim will have some excellent insight about that. Straight on to the first question for tonight's panel. Obviously, Matt Jackson now at 11 wins. Last week we spent about half an hour discussing, well, but is he going to lose? Is he ever going to lose? Well, he's probably going to lose at some point, but we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what might bring him down. But my first question is for Amanda. What's it like going against him?
It's tough. I actually had been one of the contestants that I had been there on Tuesday of filming and basically sat in the audience and watched him win 5 games in a row. So it was sort of a situation where I was going in that morning thinking, okay, I'm going to play this kid today. And it's sort of nice because you kind of get this feeling of, okay, if I beat him, that's awesome. If I lose to him, there's no shame in that. He's incredible. So, but yeah, I mean, he's the real deal. Like, knows everything. He's fast on the buzzer. It's intimidating.
Yes, I was actually going to ask you if you were one of the carryovers from the previous tape there. So
yeah, because I mean, I think there's been something on, I don't remember if it was Reddit or J-Board about this, but the other Matt, who never got to play. So like he and I had sat there all day Tuesday, and he kept not getting to play because his name was also Matt, and So when I saw that he wasn't on the list for this week, I was like, yeah, I think Matt's going to win all week.
Interesting. Now, I'm wondering actually if they may have because there might have been a carry, like some time. I'm just curious, where was this Matt from?
I think he was from New York. They were saying, because we were having this conversation, and the producers were saying that early on in Ken Jennings' run, there had been another Ken in the pool who just didn't get to play, and they were saying, well, if it happens, we'll bring you back later, and we'll pay for it. So, like, he got to come back, like, 2 years later. So I'm sure other Matt will eventually get to play. But I don't think that... I think they'll give him more time in advance to schedule, so I don't think him not showing up on the list next week is indicative of anything.
I would probably tend to agree with that. Just in case anyone is tuning in and thinking we might have some spoilers. Go ahead, David.
Oh, no, I just thought I closed something. I thought I closed the Hangout tab. Never mind.
Oh, okay. I'm going to get back to you in just a second. In case anyone was curious, if you have any questions that you want to leave for the panel tonight, you can always do so using the hashtag JeopardyLivePanel on Twitter, and we'd be happy to, I'm generally happy to read them out. unless you're going to be like Jennifer Morrow and being like, how much did he bet on Wednesday? Then I might not read it out. But there's been one question that was left over the week on the hashtag. This one's from Jonathan Graham. Actually, it is for David and myself. Jonathan obviously knows that David and I are both in the contestant pool right now, and obviously we don't know how long Matt Jackson is going to be on for. But I'm just going to ask you, David, how do you feel about the possibility of facing him?
I think also, by the way, that Jim should get a turn at it too, since he hasn't been on. Who knows? By the time
are you in the
contestant? Might still be playing.
Are you in the contestant pool, Jim?
I have not gotten a live tryout since 2010.
Okay.
So I'm
in a live tryout. He still might be playing.
That's true.
Going back to answer your question there, Andy. I would think that a body like myself and yourself too would probably be more prepared to face Matt. I've mentioned this a few times on social media that I think a lot of the reason that Matt keeps getting beaten Matt keeps beating people is that he has very good strategy involved. He always starts at the lower half of the board. He seems like he actively hunts for daily doubles. Of course, he has the knowledge to go with it. He's a top-tier quiz bowl player, and he's very fast in the buzzer. But his strategy really helps with that. Starting with the lower clues, going for the daily doubles, and getting them and building up his bank quickly. And a lot of his other opponents don't seem to do that. He'd go on the bottom half of the board, 1,600, 2,000, and then even if he gets beaten to the buzzer by somebody, they would go, oh, let's take $200 instead. So I know my strategy by somebody who's been a big fan of the game for so many years and talking with other contestants and boardies about it. I know that the strategy to beat Matt, and I'd love to see the game where Matt gets beaten just to see if this bears out, is to play like Matt. And hopefully, if I get to call while he's still on, of course he would have won about 50, 60 games by then, even if I get to call tomorrow, that I would use Matt's strategy against him, and I think I could stand a chance, even though I probably don't have the knowledge he does.
So actually my next question for Amanda, obviously, I mean, you came third in a pretty high-scoring game. Or sorry, second. You were third in the final. You got final. You finished second in a pretty high-scoring game.
Mm-hmm.
How did you find the buzzer?
Matt has a rhythm with the buzzer that I never caught on to. Because I mean, the thing with the flashing lights, I always found if I waited for the light, I was too slow, so I was trying to time it off of Alex when he was finished speaking. I was doing really well in the buzzer during the rehearsal, actually. So it's one of those things that I feel like, okay, well, against different opponents, I might have had a good shot. But you know, as you said, I was trying to play by his rules and go for the 1,800 categories when I had a chance. And it just didn't work out that the ones I picked are ever the daily doubles. But I was also starting out, like I missed those 2 baseball questions really fast because I was sort of going on the, okay, buzz in first and then guess. And I was like, in this particular category, I really don't have the skills to do that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's buzzer speed, really. Like, I don't think he knew. There weren't very many questions that he answered that I didn't know the answer to. I just didn't beat him off buzzer.
Do you think maybe that the buzzer speed that he had came from the confidence of winning all those games?
I mean, I think, like you said, he was the top quiz bowl player. I think he's been in the habit of having the buzzer speed, and I think now that he's won so many games, he's got that rhythm that I think anytime you start playing, it takes you a little while to get into that, and so you're competing with somebody who's very comfortable with that speed now. But I mean, now I want him to keep winning because I'm like, well, my story would be I lost to Matt Jackson. I want him to win forever. So
I want him to keep winning too, just because he makes good TV. I mean, my goodness, he is so entertaining as a viewer.
yeah.
I'm confused about something. David and Jim, maybe you can answer this for me. There's a comment on our blog by, H. Baum Harvey. I'm very confused by this because I have that he's claiming that by posting a list of next week's contestants, he's claiming that I have somehow said that Matt is going to lose in the next 4 games. I am very confused at this claim because I posted 10 challengers in the champion. There are always 10 challengers in the champion. Can either of you maybe point me in the J-board direction, David and Jim? Was there a discussion about this at some point? I'm not seeing it.
You're talking about the basically the people that are going to be playing the week of October 12th, correct? You posted
Correct.
that.
Yes.
What I'm thinking of is that I think I saw it. Let me just check the page again. But what I believe it said on there was not that there was 10 people in a challenger, which is what there always is. But take a look at the name of the first person in next week's contestant.
Oh, okay.
That might be what he was referring.
Okay, there we go.
I mean, I don't want to go into it too much on the video, but.
Oh, yes, I just noticed that. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, but it's not like I... For the record, at the Jeopardy fan, we always post the following week's contestants.
Yeah.
It happens every week without fail. I'm sorry if there happens to be some sort of a spoiler.
Yeah, and I mean, if you don't post it, you can easily get it from Jeopardy.com.
Right. So.
It's interesting because that's not the other Matt that was there.
Oh, yeah.
Last name.
It's interesting.
Well, I mean, obviously they wouldn't know because they have, they call before, they obviously have the next set of contestants out. Before they, I guess, finish the previous taping. So obviously they would have called another Matt, or even then they might have this Matt could have chosen to use a nickname.
If so, then they probably would be putting his nickname up because then they see, oh, Matt Ackerman. But who is this Fred that's playing here? I don't see any Fred.
Well, and they were talking to the Matt that was there. You know, he was saying, "Oh, I'd be happy to play under my middle name or under something else."
Really interesting, because I'm trying to think. Because there was somebody who, I think there was somebody else. There was somebody last season who steadfastly refused, who was spooked out by a champion.
I think it was Arthur too.
No, it wasn't Arthur Chu. No, it wasn't Arthur Chu. But there was someone who was spooked out by how good a champion was, and refused to play until refused to play under a nickname. I don't think it was Arthur Chu.
Well, no, I think the champion that they were spooked by was Arthur Chu. I don't think the person that was spooked was Arthur Chu. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, no. I don't think it was, I'm trying to remember. Oh, well, it's immaterial now. Sorry. I'm going to move on. So yeah, I obviously, from your perspective, though, Amanda, you were mentioning the baseball category, and you basically at that point were, I'm going to ring in and try to figure out the clue as best I can, and that didn't really work out for you.
No.
How was the response? How did you? Was there much of a response from baseball fans on social media over that one?
There is a little bit of Mets fans being like, I can't believe that person said that, but you know, I didn't read too much of the Twitter because I was like, I'm afraid of what they're gonna say. So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
So, um, yeah, I think probably a good time for us to go in. Now, after your episode taped on Monday, did you stick around the studio much the second day, or did you go home
I
or
left
go back? You left? Okay.
because I'd been there the day before and watched 5 episodes, so I was kind of.
Okay.
My sister was visiting. We were like, let's go out and do something in LA.
What did you end up doing?
We went to the Richard Nixon Library.
Oh, that's nice. That's in Loma Linda?
Yeah, Yorba Linda.
Yeah, Yorba Linda. There we go. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've been trying to go to all of the presidential libraries and.
So were there books there with pages removed?
Actually, it was very funny. They have a whole unit on Watergate and this little thing set up. The idea being that they want you to go through and look at all of these data yourself, and then it was out of order. Like, come on, you guys. Um,
Yeah,
So, yeah, go
I
ahead,
was going
Jim.
to say I've lived in the area for 16 years and haven't made it to the Nixon or the Reagan libraries yet.
Oh.
I did actually. I've been to Reagan's. I kind of preferred Nixon's, actually.
How many libraries have you been to? Presidential libraries?
The the one Lincoln's. It's not really a presidential library. Eisenhower, Truman, Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, um, Reagan, Bush, Clinton. Yeah, so that's yeah.
They have one for every president, correct?
What's that?
They have one for every president, correct?
No, they started with Hoover.
Oh, okay.
Um, they're much better when the president is dead because they have more of the stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
So there'd be, I guess, approximately 10 of them?
I think there's 10 or 11, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
So, at this point, because I know Ben Ingram is going to, it's the question he always asks. And obviously, you had the opportunity to have lunch the first day in the studio. So I'm going to ask what I now am going to refer to as the Ingram question. What did you have for lunch when you were at the studio?
me?
Yeah.
At the Sony, the
At the
commissary,
Yep, at the commissary. What did you have for lunch?
I had a salad and a bowl of matzo ball soup
Okay.
and a Reese's peanut butter cup.
I, I definitely find that the answers to that question are varied amongst everyone, and I'm going to be curious to see how Matt Jackson answers it once he comes on, because he'll have had a number of lunches. Um, the big discussion, though, or the big controversy this past week came on Wednesday's show, whether Matt bet 5 or 5,000. Or at least intended to bet 5 or 5,000. I have my opinions on the issue. I am Team 5. What do you guys think, having watched the show?
Well, I watched it. I watched it as a tape, so I kind of saw a bit of the controversy beforehand, and making the mistake of checking the Jeopardy Facebook page. Everybody was saying, "Oh, well, you've gotta watch it because listen carefully." So I knew to listen for something. Had I been watching it casually, I don't really know what I would have made of it. But on the other hand, I know exactly how stringent they are in making sure that protocol is followed. So I wouldn't have had any issue with what went on. Whether I think it's 5,000, which having watched it after, kind of saying, "Hey, watch it carefully." I know that it's 5, but whether I think it's 5,000 doesn't really matter. It's what the judges and the compliance people believe happened. Everything seems to be on the up and up there. I have no issue with what really happened.
Jim.
Yeah, I agree that he meant $5. And I actually just before this panel started, rewatched my recording, and he does. I would say that he definitely says, "Please, Alex," is what he says while Alex is talking. It's very hard to hear, but um, yeah, usually Alex does say, if someone bets $5, Alex will say something like 5 only, okay.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that this time.
I will say also. I was going to say, I will say also, even though I was warned about is this 5 or is this 5,000, listen carefully beforehand. I wasn't warned about Alex's comment at the end saying, okay, your lead is now reduced to 8,000 and something, and watching it without that in mind, I thought he said your score is now reduced to 8,000, and it wasn't. It was just reduced $5. So I was wondering, what did I miss there? But after seeing the discussion again and now seeing the controversy about what Alex said, I watched it again. Oh, okay, how did I miss him saying lead? So I'm not too hard on the people that say, oh, well, Alex didn't say your lead is reduced. He said your score, because I thought he said score at the first two, and it only took me a second watching and say, yeah, how did I miss that?
Amanda, question for did you watch Wednesday's show, or were you kind of taking?
Haven't yet.
Pardon me?
It's on my DVR and I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Okay. Just yeah. Now I do want to chime in with a couple of things. First of all, Alicia from Friday. We were hoping she was going to be able to join us tonight, but she's not. However, she did comment on Wednesday's post on our site, so if you haven't had a chance to read it, I will read it out. But basically, what she said, gameplay was stopped for quite some time after that daily huddle, while judges, compliance, pretty much everyone involved in decision-making disappeared behind closed doors to discuss the situation. She's also pretty sure some of Alex's stuff was re-recorded after the fact to accurately reflect the wagering, though Alicia doesn't remember the specifics. She realizes people are upset, but he clearly said 5, and of course, Alicia, a contestant wanting to play, and there were a lot of people who were kind of in the bullpen who wanted to see him lose 5,000. But
I'm sure everybody on stage wanted to see him lose 5,000 too.
Well, not the judge. I don't think the judges really cared. They just wanted to get the right number. But now, one thing that all actually ended up fueling the controversy even further was when people went to the closed captioning, and the closed captioning said that he wagered 5,000, and they were using this as indisputable proof that he wagered $5,000, and the judges had somehow made a massive scoring error, and everything was terrible. Now, Jim, if I'm not mistaken, you've done some work in closed captioning before, is that correct?
Yes, I worked as a closed captioner from 1997 to 2005, and I actually captioned Jeopardy for a while. The company I worked for had the contract, I think, up until about 2002. So I closed captioned the occasional episode in 2000, 2001, 2002.
So obviously, you would say, as a former closed captioner, that, or at least that mistakes like that are possible, that it could happen in a situation such as that, where there's confusion as to, where it's confusing as to what somebody has said, and obviously they had to make an extrapolation outward. Would you say that's something that's possible, or?
Yes, That's definitely possible. One thing to keep in mind is, well, as of up to 10 years ago, the copy that the captioner gets, the audio is never as good as it is when you're actually watching it on TV. Something like Jeopardy is actually better than a lot of shows because we would get a version that was pretty much completed. But with a lot of shows, the captioners aren't getting even the complete final audio mix. But Jeopardy, we would almost always be fully all put together and even have all the graphics and the closing credits in it already, which a lot of other shows wouldn't. But yeah, I can kind of see why the captioner there would want to put something in, because at that point the camera's on Matt, and you can see him saying something. So you can see his mouth moving there. So the captioner would want to try to figure out what he was saying. I mean, and it's possible that it's obviously possible that the captioner thought it was 1,000, but they kind of should have realized that when they only took 5 off, that it wasn't actually 1,000, and they should try to listen to it a few more times and try to figure out what it was. But the captioner is under time pressure to get the captioning done as soon as possible, and doesn't necessarily might not necessarily feel like they have time to deal with all those nuances.
No, I mean, to me that makes a lot of sense, and I hopefully that can shed some light on the process for those of you who might be tuning in, curious to know why did closed captioning say 5,000. So at this point, I'm going to talk for a little bit because I would like to go into the This Week in Jeopardy history segment. And October 12th, 2009, Terry Linwood was, I believe, playing his second game. One of the challengers, however, looked a little familiar. So to that, I'm going to say Happy Jeopardiversary number 2 to Jeff Kirby. And this description I am taking straight out of J-Archive. Jeff Kirby, he returned to the show in 2009 without explanation after appearing as a challenger almost a decade prior. In his second appearance in 2009, he wore the same tie as he wore in his first appearance in 1999. Jeopardy fans and archivists with the J-Archive discovered the fact that Jeff had reappeared ineligibly by comparing pictures of Kirby from his 2 appearances. On October 14, 2009, Jeopardy producers released a statement saying that they relied on information provided to us by Mr. Kirby. He did not disclose that he had previously been on Jeopardy! His having been on the show made Mr. Kirby ineligible as a contestant and therefore ineligible to receive any prizes on the show. A October 16th, 2009 New York Post article on the story reported that when he was reached at home, Kirby declined to comment. So, of course, that makes Jeff Kirby one of the few people in Jeopardy history to go 0 for 2. Interesting distinction, and obviously David and I, and Amanda as well, can relate to this. Now on the contestant paperwork, they specifically ask you, have you been on Jeopardy before?
Yeah, I remember when I was filling out the paperwork, I saw that, and I fleetingly had a chuckle at Jeff Kirby's expense when I checked off the "No, I have not been on Jeopardy" thing. But I was thinking if that box was on there back in 2009. I guess they didn't. I don't know. Maybe we should talk to somebody who was on the show 2009 or prior.
Well, I can actually, my tryout, which was in the summer of 2010, was my 6th tryout. So I definitely remember that they had changed the paperwork a bit for that one versus my 5 previous tryouts.
Do you have your paperwork saved?
No, it was just the paper that got turned in with everything on it.
I have mine saved, but it's all done electronically now, so that may be why.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now I just want to interject with a comment on the hashtag. I like this one from Jonathan Graham again. because of the $5 rule, bit of an inside joke here, no one can mistake wagering 4,000 for wagering $4.
Oh.
Of course, hashtag Jeopardy Live panel, hashtag just wager 4,000.
4,000.
So this question is for this one is for everyone. Assume that Matt is the 15th person in the Tournament of Champions field. Make your predictions. Which 3 people do you think make the final?
Matt, Alex, and whoever the other cannon fodder is.
Okay, guess what, David? You get to pick the third cannon fodder.
I don't. It could be anybody. There's a lot of good names there, but I was thinking there's been a couple big tournaments where they have, like, for example, the Battle of the Decades. We knew it was going to be Ken, Brad, and Cannon Fodder. Last Tournament of Champions, we knew it was going to be Julia, Arthur, and Cannon Fodder. So
Hey, hold on a second. Cannon Fodder won the Tournament of Champions,
know,
and Cannon
exactly.
Fodder nearly won the Battle of the Decades. So
exactly.
Cannon
But
Fodder.
my point is that they seem to set these up where they have two sure shots, and sometimes the excitement of having the third person win is even more incredible. I can't really pick who the third person is, or I don't even know if they have a shot of beating Matt and Alex, but I will say that I think Matt and Alex are evenly placed, and for my bet, one of those two are going to win. I have, provided that Matt is in this Tournament of Champions, of course, I have absolutely no idea who is better between Matt and Alex. And I also don't really have a guess as to who the third person will be. There's a lot of people it could be, but it's going to be Matt and Alex for sure.
Amanda, what do you think?
I'm definitely would think Matt and Alex. I don't remember names that well. I mean, Alex stuck in my mind, but I think Matt could beat Alex. Would be my guess, but we'll see. Or else we won't.
Jeopardy Facebook page will be happy if Matt won. Happy.
Well, there's not even just that. Like I mean, he's a formidable guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, to recount from an earlier discussion I was having, looking through J Archive, it was there was an Alex who played on the 22nd of April, 2 days after Alex Jacob lost. So
Yeah,
that
I do think whenever Matt loses, whether it's this week or sometime later, I don't think they would put Matt number 2 the day after Matt, the current Matt. Why have I forgotten his last name all of a sudden? The current
Jackson.
Matt. Thank you, Matt Jackson. The day after Matt Jackson loses, but they want to get him on quickly, so I can see why they do him the second day. The second day in the case of Alex, other Alex.
Jim, what do you think on the tournament?
I always just feel like it's so hard to handicap these things because, you know, a semifinal where it's just, you know, a Final Jeopardy that happens to have happens to hit a hole in one of the contestants' knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that could, you know, knock somebody out. I mean, even Matt hasn't gotten every Final Jeopardy correct, so you know, something like that could.
He's not great on pop culture.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, and I was thinking Alex. I seem to recall that Alex was a lot better in pop culture, so that would definitely be a game changer if one of the finals in the final round, the final tournament is pop culture.
Yeah.
Well, I also know, I'm pretty sure my own thoughts. Well, I mean, I think Alex has ramped up his preparation again.
Oh.
at least from what I've kind of heard through the grapevine. So he might have seen Matt Jackson and be like, okay, let's work here, because he's not the kind of person who will let himself go into one of these things underprepared or unprepared. So I like him. I like his going in. Obviously, Matt Jackson is he's going to be the most recent. My guess on the third one, I honestly think, you know what? I'm going to just go out on,
I told you, it's hard.
I don't want to say a name because, well, I'm going to say a name to make a prediction. I'm I don't want anyone else to feel slighted by the fact I've said this. Because a lot of I mean, there are I think half the field has been on live panel, and so um, my prediction for with the third podium, I'm going to pick Kristen. I think Kristen's going to get a favorable quarterfinal draw in the respect that she'll get either Alex or Matt in the quarterfinals, and she knows enough to just hang around, and will get herself into a semifinal. Obviously, having played one of the two favorites, she won't get them again in the semi, so that will likely help. That will likely work in her favor. And I don't know. I think my prediction will be Alex, Matt, and Kristen, and I don't know who'll end up winning, but
I very much like that. That's I think is right on.
We'll see what happens, and obviously, and you know what? As far as I know, they haven't taped yet, so at least nobody can look at this prediction yet and laugh at me. So, and I'm glad.
But they're saving it for posterity.
Exactly. So another thing I like to ask. This one's for Amanda again. So how many times did you audition for Jeopardy? Was this your first one?
Yeah, this is my first one.
Okay. Now, you told us beforehand you auditioned in Kansas City on July 1st, same day I did, just a different session. You were, I think, probably in the last one on July 1st. Now, do you want to talk about your audition and how that went for you at all, or from what you remember?
Yeah, it was fine. The quiz, I felt like I'd gotten, I think, at least 49 out of them on the paper one. Then I was one of the first 3 called to do the camera one.
Oh.
And I feel like ours went on longer than some of the later ones did, so I was kind of wondering if that meant anything. But I have no idea. I think I was in the same session as Greg, but I asked Greg, who was on the week before, and I remember asking him, and he was like, I don't remember, so possibly not. But no, I mean, it was fun. It didn't seem too hard.
Okay.
I mean,
Fair enough. Yeah.
I felt kind of awkward there because it's like some people do this so many times, and I was like, oh, okay, this is my first time, and then I was figuring, I left thinking, okay, well, I had a good time, and it was 18 months, and I'll have to do it again in a year or so, and then it told me a month later, so.
Yeah, it's interesting how that works out. I mean, I can't say I blame you for not remembering too much. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. My own, I still think the day of my own audition was quite a blur. So, but there was a lot. Just I'm sure there's stuff that went on that I've forgotten about. So,
I can remember a lot from my audition, but I really wish I could remember the people. There was some. I remember that there were some great people there that I thought should have gotten the call, and I can't remember any of the names or faces. So every time there's somebody from the Midwest that comes up on the show now, I'm thinking, did I audition with him? Was she in my taping? Was she in my audition group? I don't know.
I do remember having some conversations with some people where they were saying, like, oh, I'm sure if I got on the show I would only get third or blah, blah, blah. And I'm kind of like, you don't believe you can win? Why are you here?
Yes, I also saw a few in my audition group that I thought there's no way that they're going to get on with some of their answers.
Well, it's not even that. It's not that I thought that they couldn't, but it's like if they don't think that they could do well, then like, why are you trying to do this?
We've got another question. A fair point from Ben Wiles. Are we assuming that Matt and Alex won't end up in the same semifinal a la Roger Craig, June Pak, and Mark Runsvold?
I don't think they will, because if Matt is in this Tournament of Champions, again, I can see that they gear these things to have two big names almost guaranteed for the finals. I could tell that they deliberately did not want Arthur and Julia to play each other until the finals. They were setting it up for them to be in the finals. Well, not setting it up as in fixing it, of course, but doing as much as they could to have those two in the finals because those were their marquee names. And their marquee names this time are Alex and Matt, I believe. So I think they want to make sure, if at all possible, that those two make it to the finals to make some good television.
That's fair. Also, some more thoughts on the hashtag. This one from Harvey again. While Matt is very sound in gameplay, Alex's background as a pro poker player may give him an edge in strategic thinking. So that's an interesting thought there. At this point, I'm going to ask if any panelist has any questions for anyone else on the panel.
I had two, actually. One of you were talking earlier that there was a question on the hashtag for you and I about if we were to play Matt, what would our strategy be? I don't think recall you give an answer on that, Andy.
Oh, I did not. Okay, so how would I feel to go in and I get the call and I'm in there and the defending champion is 48th-time champion Matt Jackson? I say bring it on. Not gonna lie. I mean, I would say I would bring it on. Would be great if I were the person to bring him down and then start a run of my own. But yeah, that's pretty much what I mean, I've got to beat somebody. If I get on, got to beat someone, barring a miracle and a 0-0. Going, in the previous game, there's going to be a defending champ. So whether that guy has 48 games experience or 1 game experience, still got to beat him.
Good. My other question was for Amanda. Having interacted with Matt outside of the game, like in the green room, and even talking with Alex and all that, what's your opinion of Matt as a person, outside of as a opponent in Jeopardy?
I mean, I think any room of Jeopardy contestants is going to have some slightly awkward people, and that he's probably one of them, because I was trying to sort of have friendly conversation with him, and I mean, he was polite and friendly, but not like, he's not outgoing, he's not going to start conversations with you, really. So we talked a little bit about, what did he want to go to law school, and what was he going to do, and that kind of stuff. I mean, the day, I think I noticed on JBoard, the conversation for the game I played sort of devolved into this discussion like whether people thought he was on the spectrum, which I was like, you can't diagnose somebody without.
The moderator, I apologize a bit for that.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
No, I didn't say anything. I'm just saying that as a moderator, I'm
Yeah.
kind of
So I mean, it's.
everybody that says that.
I mean, it's such an artificial social situation too, because he's there to win. This is his shot. He's been preparing for this for a long time. He's not wanting to make friends. He's so much younger than everybody else. I mean, he's 23. I don't think anybody was younger than 28, 29, just from looking at people. So, and then, I mean, also he didn't really get that much. I mean, the rest of us were all sort of hanging back, talking to each other, and he had to go play. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
He didn't interact as much, but he's certainly polite. He was certainly friendly. Like he wasn't rude. But I mean, I think Twitter's beating him up a little bit. It's somewhat unfair.
From his Facebook page, he seems to have a great sense of humor too. Well, with the fingers, you can kind of tell that.
Yeah.
He had the humorous side to him, so I kind of like that side.
Yeah, he's a little cocky. He's got that, but he's kind of earned it by now. So.
Mm-hmm. I'd say so. Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people myself try to diagnose him as being, on the spectrum on Twitter and on Facebook and on Jboard, and I'm not a fan of it either. And it bothers me that there are people who think that they can obviously make this, some sort of diagnosis just on what they've seen on television, and yeah, it kind of bothers me, kind of almost worries me a little bit that people, if I ever get on, people might try to make the same judgments about me, because I mean, for some reason I think I see a little bit of my own personality traits in Matt Jackson a little bit. So I mean, obviously I feel like I'm cheering for him in that respect, and
I think there's an extent to which I kind of feel like, well, so what if he was?
Yeah. So what if he was? Yeah, he's won 11 games on Jeopardy, and
you
haven't.
He's doing fine. So.
Internet commenters are not the best people as a rule. I mean, this is the YouTube comments and 4chan, so.
Yeah, so, but, I mean, I think to some extent, people having conversations about him are driving up people wanting to see the show, probably. Like, it seems like he's made, the late night shows, and or at least some of them, there's a...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
People are talking about him, so I figure if you're Jeopardy, then that's a good thing.
And Jeopardy definitely wants people talking about the show. And, I mean, who can blame them? That's their business. They want people to talk about the show so that they can see the show so that they can get money.
Yeah, and he's fairly... One of the producers was saying this when they were talking about Arthur Chu, where I guess some people were really upset when he was playing because they didn't like his style of gameplay, and then it's just really Jeopardy, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, why would we be upset about somebody who's making people talk about Jeopardy and watch Jeopardy? Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good kid. He'll do good. He'll go on, do other cool things.
So do you have any interest in going on any other game shows at this point? 500 questions, maybe?
No, I don't know that one. I can't for 6 months. You sign your life away to Sony.
But I mean, once you're able to go back, or once you're able to start trying to go for other game shows, anything else on your radar, or?
really, I feel like Jeopardy is the only one I'd actually be good at. So, um,
Millionaire.
Well,
and
that'll assume Millionaire gets another season, which seems to be pretty doubtful at this point.
Oh, really?
um, yeah, I mean, if sometime in the future there's another quiz show that's sort of similar, then I would do it. But I've kind of was trying to do stuff on my bucket list, and Jeopardy was actually on it, so I'll probably turn my attentions to other stuff now. Because the TV thing is also a little bit terrifying.
It's definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and
Oh,
with your
absolutely.
life you can tell people, I have been on Jeopardy. I mean, who else can say that?
Oh, and it was a blast. Like, I had fun.
I
I
bet.
Quebec, I got my makeup done by a professional.
I am so envious of everybody that's been on.
Yeah, I mean, you get to be on the set. I mean, just being able to be on the set and write your name on the little thing, I mean, it's super fun.
Play Jeopardy for real. How freaking cool is that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, like, the 25 minutes we were filming my episode, like, that is a blow to me. That I don't really remember at all. Because talking about it afterwards, we were trying to remember, because my sister was in the audience, and we were like, what did you get right? Like, which ones did you answer? And I'm like, I remember something about an Eisenhower jacket, but it's all a blur. Like, I don't remember any of this.
Yeah.
So watching the episode, I was like, huh, okay. I got the Patrick Swayze movie. Good for me. Um,
Oh no, Mets fans are gonna laugh at me for a while. And
well, I'm okay with that. It's, if they had known before, they would have been laughing anyway. So.
yeah, I think the Mets need some cheering up anyway after last night. But
Mm.
in any case, do we have any other panelists with any other questions at this point?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I hear crickets. So at this point, I would like to thank everyone for tuning in to this week's Jeopardy Live panel. Of course, going to be releasing an interesting piece regarding yeah, an interest. I'm just going to say within regards to or alongside Wednesday's recap. There's going to be an interesting piece, I think, that I'm going to be releasing along with the recap that night. So you'll want to kind of look at thejeopardyfan.com for that come Wednesday night. Other than that, I would like to thank everyone. Amanda, David, Jim, all thanks for coming on tonight. I appreciate it. Jeannie appreciates it. All the viewers, I'm sure, appreciate your insight as well. So thank you very much, guys. I hope to get you. Hopefully, you guys are able to come back on again at some point. That would be great. Maybe if Matt happens to lose, we might get all of the people who lost to him who've been on the panel
I hope you
together
can get
for
Matt
a
on
party.
the panel.
But
I hope you can get Matt himself on the panel.
well, I mean, again, we have reached out to him. He does. I think he's waiting for some of the hubbub to die down before he decides to join us. But
And
which,
let's
in
face
my
it,
opinion,
Jimmy
makes
Fallon.
sense.
You're not Jimmy Fallon. You're not Stephen Colbert. So
Yeah, we're just Jeopardy live panel. So.
yeah.
So yes, for everyone here at Jeopardy Live Panel and thejeopardyfan.com, thank you for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. I'm not quite sure when next week's episode is going to be, but I will post that on the website this week. So thank you very much for tuning in and taking part. I will hopefully see you at some point soon. Have a good night.